Hi everyone, today we're headed to the Central Coast to San Luis Obispo County to look for 5 creepy places. Our first stop is at the Kaleidoscope Inn in Nipomo, California. There's not a lot of information about this place. A man named V.S. Runnels built the house in 1887, and in the 1960s it became an antique store. It's mainly used as a venue space for weddings, and I believe you can just rent a room there for the night if you desire. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by trees, and there's a lot of farmland around it. There are a few ghost stories online, one of them being a woman being seen wearing a robe walking through a closed door before sitting down on a bed. Lights have been turned on and off with nobody there. Also, staff has found the bed ruffled up with imprints on it and nobody was in the house. My visit was short and sweet, and I didn't see anything. No ghosts here. Hi everyone, I am in Arroyo Grande at what is known as the Pitkin Conrow house that went through many names, from the Rose Victorian Inn to the Crystal Rose Inn, currently known now as the Victorian. This home was built in 1890 by the Pitkin family. Charles Pitkin, however, didn't get to enjoy the house very long, and he died on February 21st, 1892, and his funeral took place in the house's parlor. In 1905, the Conrow family moved in the house with their 4 children, and one of the daughters lived there until her death in 1952. The main ghost story features Alice, a 9-year-old girl with pigtails who doesn't know she's dead. She haunts the upper floors and the turret, sometimes with another ghost boy, and they play on the roof together. And a lot of resident cats are often found up in the tower room because Alice apparently loves cats. Many customers and staff have seen Alice. There are countless stories online about it, including a football player who saw Alice standing in his doorway, as well as a couple taking a Polaroid of their room and an apparition of Alice was captured in the photo. Other ghost stories include all of the staff reported being terrified in the basement's wine cellar, the 3rd floor having curtains ripped open after being closed, as well as the bedspread with imprints on them. A ghost was spotted outside of a horse and buggy driver wearing a top hat, and a supposed wedding staff member turned out to be a ghost because they vanished without a trace and no one ever even knew who that person was. A few miles away from the Pitkin Conrow house, located off of Elm Street in Oceano, California, is the Coffee Rice House, which is now surrounded by a mobile home park. The house was built in 1885 by the same architect who built the Pitkin Conrow house. Coffee T. Rice was a wealthy man who came out to California, originally to San Francisco from Ohio. He moved down to the Central Coast due to the railroad that was planned to run through the area. By 1886, his glamorous estate, consisting of 20 rooms with marble bathtubs and sinks, as well as fireplaces built out of marble and handmade Italian tile, was done. The Rice family lived in the house for less than 10 years, as Rice's son was killed in a riding accident, having been thrown from a horse, or drowning in the ocean. The accounts differ. After the death of her son, Rice's wife died from a rare disease, and Rice's fortune and money dried up, and he had left the house by 1895. In 1905, the house was acquired by the Temple of the People, a religious organization that operated the house as a sanatorium until 1925. Many other residents had passed through the house over the years, but currently there is at least a man and woman living in the property because they came out and screamed at me when I went into the pool area connected to the trailer park. Many ghost stories have popped up over the years, including the former ghosts of the sanatorium patients. Also, supposedly there are blood stains in the foyer that, no matter how hard you scrub, refuse to go away. Some say you can see Rice's son looking out the upstairs window. Well, I saw him. Just a few miles away in Oceano are the Dune Lakes, located in the Oceano sand dunes. One of the lakes, Black Lake, is haunted by the legend of the Lady in Black. According to the rumor, almost 200 years ago, a woman drowned in Black Lake. Some legends, however, state that she was murdered and dumped in the lake afterwards. Now, centuries later, she haunts the location of her death. She appears in a black ruffled Victorian dress with no face. She has been named Agnes, and there are endless stories of creepy sightings from Agnes on the internet. If you continue down Highway 1, there is another ghost in the area of a woman, the Lady of Calendar Road, and she appears in all white and causes accidents. She supposedly haunts the site of a fatal accident, appearing again around 12:15, trying to stop cars passing her by. Supposedly, if you don't stop, she will take control of your car and crash it herself. The story goes that she lost her husband and children in a car crash on that road in the 1950s, and she turned white from shock and now haunts the roadway. Across the 101 freeway from the Madonna Inn is the San Luis Cemetery. Fred Adolphus Dorne was an elected district attorney in San Luis Obispo between 1894 and 1899, and he was a highly respected citizen. In May of 1905, Fred's wife Cora gave birth to a son, Fred Jr., who unfortunately died within hours of his birth. 3 days later, Cora herself died. In their honor, Fred erected a mysterious pyramid tomb in the cemetery. The front of the tomb bears the eerie words, "Disturb not the sleep of death." Fred had intended to be buried there, but he eventually moved to San Francisco and remarried. The last 2 stones were to be sealed once he passed away, but he never made it back down to San Luis Obispo. Fred died in 1940 at the age of 74, and he is buried in Cypress Lawn Memorial Park in Coloma, California.
More than 110 years after it was first built, the Dorne Pyramid in the San Luis Obispo Cemetery has been sealed. Dorne was master of King David's Masonic Lodge in San Luis Obispo in 1891. The lodge hired stonemasons in January to finish the pyramid.
Thanks everyone for watching. Stay tuned for other episodes of Central Coast Ghosts.